Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Give a few seconds for it to go out. That should be good, hopefully. All right, well, welcome everybody to the first public Ask Me Anything of 2026. Today we are going to talk about some changes that just went into effect this year, some that families still may not have heard about, even if it does impact your program, plus our new policy proposal that could change everything we know about how military families access childcare. While it is very much still theoretical in the suggestion, we are very hopeful for some movement towards this new policy programming. So those are going to be three main topics today. We're going to talk about updates for fiscal year 2026. I am going to show you the updated calculators that we have, and we're going to talk about the basic allowance for childcare. Some of you have submitted questions ahead of time. I've worked in answers to most of today's streaming, but if you have questions that pop up about your personal situation, feel free to drop those in the chat, and we will respond to those as we go through. I'm going to go ahead and add to the chat some links that we are going to use today. These will also be available after the session. We'll post them on our website. And this session, as always, is going to be safe for replay. I know that most people do not watch this live. You watch this after the fact. So everything will be available for you afterwards. So first, I want to talk about what has changed in 2026. I'm going to do a screen share here. There we go. And we're up and going. Okay, so this document is currently linked in the chat as well. It's under the infographic, so you can access it as well. Throughout this document are also clickable links. So these all go directly to the policy memos, the official policy memos that have come out regarding these program updates. So the first main update to offer is that there are now more income categories. So we have moved from 11 income categories to 12 income categories. The 12th income category is now for families with a combined total family income of more than $175,000 annually. This was a way to make sure that more families were able to access some of these discounts in childcare, either on the installation through DoD operated care or through fee assistance. The issue that we still have with this is I would have preferred to see broader categories instead of more categories, since most families with children don't really ever fall in those first three categories. Even if you are an E1, E2, E3, rarely are falling in those first three categories. We talked about that a little bit last time, so we won't dive into it this time. But this does mean that if you are dual military or if you are a high income family, you're likely going to be responsible for more of the parent fee moving forward. And that is that is for all DoD operated childcare programming. The second one is the provider rate cap increase. So this is for my families who are using fee assistance off the installation, so not DoD operated care. That rate cap has shifted from $1,800 to $2,000 per month, which is fantastic. It's been at that $1,800 for quite a few years now, and so seeing it go up, especially with the cost of care going up, is amazing. Part-time care, that went from $900 to $1,000 a month now, so that also went up $100. That is for every branch except for Army. Army, you have $2,000 as your cap, regardless of whether it's part-time or full-time care. So very big, very needed. It means that more of your provider's fee is covered, which reduces what you pay out of pocket, assuming that you are not in that new 12th income category, which is the $175,000 or above. So what you should expect, if you are in using the fee assistance program off the installation, you should be getting new certificates. Hopefully, if you haven't already. I know my family personally has not gotten a new certificate. But you should be getting it very soon, hopefully by the end of the month. We do not know right now if they're going to do retroactive payments, if the new cap benefited you. Again, this was something that was supposed to go into effect last fall. The government shutdown kind of pushed that down the line. So I don't know if you're going to get retroactive benefits, if this was something that would have given you more funding. The next point I want to talk about is on installation. So that's your CDC, your school aftercare. you should have already seen, regardless of branch, the new rate cap implementation. So that's the the new income category implementation. So that's your categories 1 through 12 that caps based on your total family income what you pay. That should have gone into effect November 1st, right after the government shutdown took place. We have that documentation linked in here as well. When you access this, we will keep updating these as we do get more documentation in. This just adds that 12th income category. If you have not seen your rates change and you think that they should change, you need to contact your installation CYP office, the location where your child is getting care, to ask about that. Next is the Child Care in Your Home pilot program. It is still a pilot program. This is what we hear a lot of families call the nanny program, the in-home program, military child care in your home program. There's a lot of names, but it comes down to it's the in-home for a private provider. What is really disappointing about this is, unfortunately, it did not also go up to the $2,000 rate cap, the way that MCCYN did for the off installation fee assistance. This is very much something that we will continue advocating for and hope that that does shift. This does matter. CCYH families pay, I have yet to see them pay less than someone utilizing any of the other programs. It is very costly because you do have to follow your state and local laws when it comes to becoming a household employer. Since that is very much on you as the family. If you enroll in this, you are responsible for the payroll, the taxes, the liability, everything. So it is very, very expensive. A lot of families then have to cover things like overtime, depending on your state, unemployment insurance, workers' comp. There's a lot of aspects in them that make it very, very costly. It is cost prohibitive for most families. And it really does kind of widen that disparity when it comes to how we view these different care types. I think that covered all the questions that I had gotten before the stream about these programs. So if you are tuning in live and you have more questions, feel free to drop those in. Otherwise, we will keep moving on to our next section, which is the updated fee calculators. So we have updated both our MCCYN and CCYH calculators to reflect the 2026 changes. These are free tools. You don't need to log in. They're broadly available to you, and they help you understand what you actually pay for before you apply. So here's our MCCYN calculator. Again, it is for estimating purposes only. I see this from families all the time. They want to know, how much does it actually cost? How much does it save them? If they decide to use these programs either in lieu of or with the fee assistance. So we can kind of walk through here what it actually calculates. These are on our website. Again, the link is in the chat. So what it calculates is your DoD parent fee based on your total family income. Your provider rate caps are already built in here, and it estimates for you what you get in fee assistance and what you pay out of pocket. So we'll go ahead and walk through a situation really quick here. First, we will assume that we are Air Force Space Force family, and that we are looking at full-time care. So this is the box where you will enter your, turn this off so that it doesn't keep populating passwords while I'm screen sharing. So you're going to enter the weekly rate of your civilian provider, and it'll automatically calculate for you what that monthly rate is. This is typically how civilian providers charge, is by the week. We're going to assume we're in a high cost area. And so maybe my weekly provider rate is $325, not $3,000. There we go. So it will go ahead and calculate what does that look like on a monthly basis. This is a per child. You need to do one per child. Next, if you do not already know what your total family income category is to cap, we built this in. It used to be that we had to click out and then look at other forms to figure it out. Families said that that was exhausting and confusing to get back. So we did go ahead and build it in. So if you do happen to know it, say you know I'm Cat 5 and with the new rates, this is what my amount is, you can click no and just enter that. If you do need to get help calculating it, you can click yes. And then we give you kind of a definition down here of what does the DoD consider to be their total family, or to be calculated in your total family income. So if you want to get a general estimate, you can enter the total income of your household. So if you're married, you and your spouse, to include BAH, get a general estimate. If you want something more precise, we have built out here what you do include, what you don't include, and you get a little bit tighter on that number. So we're going to go ahead and assume we're in a high cost area. Maybe my total family income is $125,000. And so after that is entered, I'll scroll down. You'll see that I am considered Cat 8. So under category 8, my total CDC rate would either be 700 or 674, depending on whether I'm at a standard or high cost installation. Again, I'm assuming high cost. So I'll enter the 700 here. So it's going to go ahead and automatically calculate for us down here. What is the estimated monthly fee assistance I should anticipate getting? And what is the estimated monthly fee family responsibility moving forward? So 700 would be my responsibility moving forward. 707 is about what I would anticipate getting in fee assistance. Again, this goes to your provider. Your provider adds it as a credit to your account. So no family should ever anticipate getting this funding directly. It goes through the provider side. The meal allowance pilot is still live and well. We are seeing this being offered automatically to families, which is amazing. They don't need to add anything extra into this. So this is where you can answer a few quick questions to get that as well. So are meals included in the tuition? These are all yes or no's. It needs to be one or the other, where meals are included and it's more than the rate cap. I do not know if we are sticking with the 1,800 rate cap or the 2,000 rate cap. I'm waiting on clarification on that for the fee allowance. But assuming that you do, maybe let's do it this way. Let's assume that you need to provide meals. So you have a provider, you love them. I see this a lot with Montessori schools. Maybe it's a Montessori school and they say you need to bring your child snack and lunch each day. So even if you aren't at a very high cost, I shouldn't say at a very high cost, it was $325 a week. But even if you are not paying over your rate cap, if you do have to provide meals, this will also apply for babies and formula. If they don't provide formula, that would be you providing meals if you have to provide that. You can check yes. And as you see here, it'll go ahead and update what to anticipate. So this drops the estimated family responsibility down to 600 and raises the assistance up to 807. So you can roll through this for each child to kind of figure out, since it is on a per child basis, that's how you'll get your certificates. And that's how that benefit is calculated, is a per child basis. You could play with this calculator, enter the different amounts, and kind of get an estimate. What should you expect if you decide to use this program off the installation? So our second calculator that we're going to roll through here is the CCYH program. I am seeing this more and more on Facebook pages and emails coming in on pretty much every social media. It is the most restrictive when it comes to eligibility. It was expanded into some new locations in the last NDAA. It has a different provider rate cap, but it follows that same provider or the same parent fee schedule. So there's 12 categories schedules, and it works the same way the calculator does as the MCCYN. The only difference here is that to calculate it, if you have more than one, you'll enter the hourly rate, whether it is for one child or for 4 children. And what I mean by that is, if you are paying your provider $28 a month to care for all 4 of your children, do not divide your 28 by 4 and enter that here. You need to put in what is your hourly care cost for all children, because this one calculates a little bit differently on the DoD side. So let's say that my hourly cost for all children is going to be $30 an hour. This program has a minimum 30 hours a week that you have to utilize it, because it is only for that full-time care. So maybe my hours per week are going to be 45 hours. So we'll go ahead and calculate for you what you should anticipate the monthly childcare cost without assistance being. We do add a disclaimer here. This does not include taxes that you're responsible for as an employer or overtime. This is just like the very basic what this could cost you monthly. Again, we're using that same total family income monthly rate since this did not update. You can click here to get help with processing that. So again, 125,000, it'll calculate it out for us. Category 8, and then whether we are high cost or standard cost. So if you look down here, I did go ahead and list our high cost regions, which is most of the regions that the CCYH program is allowable in. And so we'll go with our high cost 698. And so it will go ahead and estimate for us what our estimated monthly fee assistance is. So out of that 5,846, I now should anticipate being responsible for around 4,744, again, not including taxes or overtime. with an estimated monthly fee assistance of around $1,100. So if I have more than one child who will be cared for by this provider, which is very common for this program, for the families who need this kind of program, then you can click yes. And then you need to enter if the child is under the age of 5 and receiving full-time care, it will automatically calculate this for you here. This calculator we only have for up to 2 children as of right now. And then if the answer is no, because you do have an older child, maybe you're going to use your trusted caregiver to cover before and after school care. So the child is over the age of 5 and in school, you will enter in your part-time monthly rate. If you did know your full-time, I don't know if you'll know your part-time, but again, you can do the same thing here. So 125 is going to be our part-time, and we're going with our high cost. So 377. So this is what I should anticipate for 2 children if one is school aged. Otherwise, it would be the previous number. We do link out here so you can look at your state's minimum tax requirements. You can also always email yourself a copy of these results. When you hit send results, it doesn't make you log in or sign up for anything. It is quite literally just going to email you a copy so that if you are looking at this later and you want to compare the two, you have 2 real estimates of what you should anticipate as part of this. Okay, next, let's talk about a basic allowance for childcare. Again, it's something that doesn't exist yet, but we're very hopeful that it could. The basic allowance for childcare is going to be our big policy recommendation for the years 2026 and beyond. So when we talk about a basic allowance for childcare, I'm sure it sounds just a bit familiar here. Think BAH, but childcare. So it is a monthly allowance. It is based on rank, location, your children's age. The families themselves are the ones who get to decide how do they use this. So do you want to use it for family childcare? So a trusted caregiver who comes in. This is for off installation care, a nanny, a grandma, a trusted friend. Maybe it is a provider who isn't participating in the fee assistance program, or maybe they're exempt for religious purposes. Or maybe you want to care for your children. You're the one who wants to educate them in their first 5 years of life. All of this would give you the resources to do so, and then you decide how to allocate that. It very much like BAH, you can't get both. You can't, just like you can't live on the installation and get BAH, you can't use installation-based care and get a basic allowance for childcare. The reason why we are very much pushing for something like this model is access. There's no wait lists with this. There's no gatekeeping with this. What we see from this data that comes out is that the DoD care serves around 20% of the families who need care. Fee assistance is very complicated. We have our entire organization exists because this process is so complicated that families get stuck in it. We're still seeing, we have not seen those wait times drop at all. By the time families are reaching out to us, we're still seeing the 150 to 160 days that they've been trying to submit documents, get approved, and they're just not moving. This also expands choice. We know that a lot of providers, because there is no incentive for civilian providers to participate in this program other than the goodness of their heart for military families, they don't get additional finances for it. It's just extra paperwork that they do, and we're very grateful for them. This puts that power back in the hands of parents who can't get into those providers, because you are very much competing with civilians for these same slots. It's not set aside slots in these situations. So this is it is a trust-based program, but it's not a new trust-based program. You know, basic allowance for housing exists. No one is coming to look at your house to see if you have chosen housing that they deem appropriate. No one is looking at your BAS. They're not asking you to bring in your Kroger receipts and see if you're only buying nutritious food that fuels your body in order to get that BAS. The military very much trusts you to find housing and buy food. And so what we are proposing is, why not childcare? You know best what works for your family, your situation. This very much is designed to meet you where you are with this. We do believe, while we are still researching it right now, we do believe that this would actually be more cost effective. There is a lot of DoD infrastructure costs. There's a lot of research around childcare. There are so many pilot programs that once you do start to add those things up, we believe that this will balance out, if not be more cost effective than the current kind of piecemeal many programs together in different location system. So the eligibility for this program, and you can read the full report in here. I'm not going to go through all of it because you can read it at your own pace. There's an executive summary here. You could read the full report. We also have our calculator and survey. I'll go ahead and open. Oh, I think I already did. Beautiful. So this is our calculator survey for the basic allowance for childcare. If you were curious, what would this look like for your family? This is linked in that page, so you can click into here and kind of enter your data and see what happens. It is available in our proposal, available to all active duty service members with children 0 to 12 years old. It is tiered by rank, just like BAH, but in the reverse. So it does mirror the CDCs and DoD operated care in that those of the lower ranks will get more support than those at the higher ranks. And it is adjusted by geographic location, again, just like BAH. So to use this calculator, we'll say that we're an E5. We will say that we are at a standard cost location, and you don't need to update this cost sharing percentage. This is very much just to demonstrate that it's not going to cover the total cost. Just like BAH isn't intended to cover the full cost of all of your housing and utilities together. We have it defaulted to a cost sharing percentage of about 10%. And then you can add your children. So say my first child is an infant, then I know I should anticipate getting around $1,200 a month for that child. You can add additional children if you have more than one. Maybe I also have a preschooler. And so again, in a standard cost area, I should anticipate for the two of them getting around $2,160 a month. And again, this could be used for any care arrangement. It works the same as BAH. So if you cannot access the CDC or school aftercare, if we want to add another child that is a school-age child, it'll calculate that in as well. That means licensed family childcare, in-home relative. There's no certificates, no approvals, no reimbursement delays that we really did see during that shutdown, and we continue to see in a lot of families. One thing that we're very excited about with the premise of a basic allowance for childcare is some of the data we've been tracking in our case management shows that around 50+% of military families have to use a trusted caregiver in addition to full-time childcare. It's hidden quite a bit. You don't see it as much because a lot of times it is the spouse who steps in to fill those gaps. And that's not generally counted as a trusted caregiver, but it should be. Anyone who is enabling the service member to focus on their mission, taking care of everything so that they don't have to and they can stay focused, should be considered when we do look at what support do service members need. We know that spouses take part-time jobs, they turn down job opportunities in general, they avoid going back to school, all because of this military lifestyle, this wild military lifestyle that we're all in. So they do put off things that they would normally pursue if they had access to affordable quality childcare. So we think it's very important that we do take that trusted caregiver individual into account when we are looking at the total family support. You can change this a bit down here. So 2,520 is where we are right now. You can toggle it to say, okay, well, what if I lived in a high cost area at the same rank? What would that look like? So as you can see, it goes up to 3,700. Or if you live in a low cost, which I think right now, Little Pine is the only area that is considered low cost, and it will go down slightly. Basic allowance for childcare does not eliminate on installation care. It is intended very much to strengthen it. When they rolled out the basic allowance for housing, it didn't make everybody run in droves from the installation housing. That still has a wait list. It's still highly sought after. This would do the same. This would approach in the same way. It would still be highly sought after for those who live on the installation, for those it makes sense for, who fit those hours. And it really does allow then DoD operated care to focus on the most mission critical families first. Your deployed families, your TDY families, your families with weekend overnight care. Again, all of it is just a proposal, not a policy yet. We just want you to see what's possible, and we want your help in advocating for it. So if you do come on here, you do use our calculator, whether it would benefit your family or not, we absolutely want to hear about it. You can click this, take the 2-minute survey. I would say 2 minutes is probably a little bit overkill. It takes less than that to just tell us, what would this mean for your family? Would this allow you to fill gaps? Would you still opt in to DoD operated care, regardless of what this amount is? We would absolutely want to hear your voice as part of this. So that is our first 2026 Ask Me Anything. The links will be available on our website. I didn't see any new questions come in, but again, most of you do not watch this live. You watch this after the fact, which is fine, great. We're all busy on Saturdays, especially with a holiday weekend. If you do have questions, you can drop those into the chat even after this goes onto our sites. We do go back and answer those questions. And again, this will also be on our website. So we are going to continue in 2026 breaking down the complicated stuff and helping fight for policies that actually work for military families. So I want to thank everyone who's watching this either live or later for being here. Please continue to ask questions. And I also want to thank you for trusting us with your stories. We are going to do more with those stories this year. We've already started building that section of our website out. If you have any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments, or you can shoot us an email. And that's at info@occproject.org. Thank you so much for joining us. I will stay around to answer some questions here shortly. Let me know if there's any other topics you want to cover.